um, be on the same page. All right, we are ready. When you're ready, thank you for joining us for our Nyan-Ko-Pong Native Teachings class workshop. Today we have Nana, our Secretary of State. She will be continuing with the driving and traveling scenario where she differentiates the difference between the two. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, esteemed Nana Chanel, Grand Rising, and Grand Rising to everyone that's here.
Grand Rising, everyone.
Grand Rising.
Grand
Thank you for
Rising,
that
Madam
wonderful
Secretary.
introduction. So I believe we stopped off at page 24 last time.
Well, at
Can
page
everyone read?
24, Akeem, you were keeping track of the teachings yesterday, last week, as you brought up several of the concerns that you
Yeah, I'm
wanted to
trying to get
highlight.
back into my I'm trying to get back to where I had it because I have it in my tablet. So I'm here searching right now for it.
Page 24.
Hold this up.
Yeah, I think it was page 24 we stopped. But let me get down there. I just got into it. So we did jurisdiction and you said that's where we started. We're
I'm
gonna
going
stop back
back.
right here because we went further than this and then we stopped back at jurisdiction, but we went to about 24 if I remember correctly. Well, we had skipped to a couple of pages, but you said you wanted to do that because it's a lot.
I think we did go back and the page that we skipped.
Yeah, that's how comes we ended up back at jurisdiction when you stopped, if I remember correctly.
Right. And we did do that, right? We went
Yep.
through the jurisdiction. Okay, so now we're at the Social Security Political
I'm
Movement,
not hearing
page 20.
anybody.
You're not hearing anything?
I could hear you, Nana.
Hmm.
Crystal, you hear
How
anything?
about
I'm hearing.
Okay, good.
Grand Rising Crystal.
okay. Grand Rising, Chris?
Grand Rising, everybody.
Alrighty. So we stopped off at page 24, the Social Security Political Movement. Where's my glasses? Huh, I just had my glasses. Whatever. Whereas it is undisputable that the supreme organic instrument of the United States of America has all essential elements of what is defined in law as a trust. The trustees named therein, Congress, are contractually obligated to manage or administer on behalf of the beneficiaries thereof, as the people, the trust property, that is federation, faith, and in accordance with and fidelity to the letter and spirit of said trust agreement or declaration of trust, namely the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America of July 4th, 1776. As the hour 21, 1871, Congress depart the de jure operation as contemplated in the Declaration of Independence and Constitution and incorporate the District of Columbia for political purposes. The Social Security political movement is their primary device for the absorption, seizure of the life, liberty, and property of the trust beneficiaries, the American people, in behalf of the Goldsmith banker owners of the private Federal Reserve. Do we need to stop here, Stone? Let's see what if there's an infra 56. I don't see it. Infra 56 says an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia, Chapter 62, 16, Statute 419, February 21, 1871. Later legislated in an act providing a permanent form of government for the District of Columbia. Mm. Okay, next paragraph. Prior to Social Security, Supreme Court justices referred to the American people as sovereigns and non-taxpayers, and America has only peace officers who keep peace under the common law. Upon arrival of the Social Security political movement in 1935, Americans began volunteering en masse at an increasing rate to assume the status of taxpayer, and soon thereafter registering as a type of latent criminal known as a driver, and paying a fee for the privilege of using a car, voluntarily placing themselves in constant danger of fines or arrest at the hands of the law enforcement officers for alleged violation of driving regulations. Do we need to discuss this paragraph?
No, I understand.
Okay, moving on. Until 1935, the government of the United States, aka also known as Government of the District of Columbia, exercises personal jurisdiction over about 1% of the American population. Today, nearly every American over the age of 18 is a card-carrying member of the Social Security political movement, resident of the District of Columbia, and licensed driver.
Excuse me, what page you're at now, Nana Sugar?
I'm still on page 24. Next section, municipal corporations, motor vehicles, and licenses. Halfway through page 24. Congressional provision for a district of territory for the permanent seat of the government of the United States appear in the Act of July 6, 1790, 1 Statute 130, as referred to unofficially as the Territory of Columbia, and is later given the official name District of Columbia in the Act of May 6, 1796, 1 Statute 461. Governments have the prerogative to create for political purposes municipal corporations that have their own subordinate legislation within the territories of such municipality, to wit, in pertinent part. Municipal corporation, a public corporation created by government for political purposes and having subordinate in local powers of legislation, according to Black's Law, second edition. The Act of 71 provides in pertinent part to be it enacted that all that part of the territory of the United States included within the limits of the District of Columbia be, and the same is hereby created in government by the name of the District of Columbia, by which name it is hereby constituted a body corporate for municipal purposes, and may contract and be contracted with, sue and be sued, plea and be impleaded, have a seal, and exercise all other powers of a municipal corporation. Section 18, and be it further enacted that the legislative power of the district shall extend to all rightful subjects of legislation within said district. As of February 21, 1871, District of Columbia may mean any of the three different things, which exactly applies, however, is undeterminable unless expressly stated to wit. Number one, name of the territory comprising the seat of the government of the United States. Number two, name of the government created out of the territory comprising the seat of the government of the United States. And number three, name of the municipal corporation constituted for political purposes from the name of the government created out of the territory comprising the seat of the government of the United States. Where's my phone? Oh. As demonstrated here and above, the Title 18 USC definition of the term state and every Union state statute's definition of the term state equates to one thing: the District of Columbia. District of Columbia requires that residents thereof who wish to pursue their respective profession or calling within said municipality obtain a license for the privilege of doing so. Any American entitled to receive retirement or survivor benefits under the Social Security Retirement Program of the United States is a member of the class defined as federal personnel and the United States, an individual, a person, a citizen of the United States, also known as District of Columbia, domiciled in and a resident of the District of Columbia, and the subject to all legislation within the District of Columbia, whether national or municipal to wit. The term federal personnel means officers and employees of the government of the United States individuals entitled to receive immediate or deferred retirement benefits under any retirement program of the government and the United States, including survivor benefits. Emphasis added, 5 USC government organization and employees, Part 1, the agencies generally, Chapter 5, Administrative Procedure, Subchapter 2, Administrative Procedure, Section 552A, records maintained on individuals, Subsection A, Part 13. Anybody else want to take over reading? My voice is fading. No one?
My file says
I'm eating
I
right
haven't got permission to open the file. Says the author hasn't
What?
granted permission. Yeah. You sent the PDF quite a while ago. And you're trying to
Yeah.
open the PDF. It
I
said I
have
haven't got
personal
permission to
seat
open it.
unfinished, so I can't read right now.
Okay. Right. Let me try to continue. I'm going to take a sip of water and continue.
Where you reach though, the term federal personnel, is that where you
The
reach?
term individual means a citizen of the United
States or an alien lawfully admitted
States.
for permanent residence. Person includes an individual, partnership, corporation, association, or public or private organization other than an agency. United States means emphasis added Title 28 USC Judiciary and Judicial Procedure Part 6 Particular Proceeding Chapter 176 Federal Debt Collection Procedure Subchapter a definition and general provisions. That's what it says. Domicile, noun, the place with which a person has a settled connection for important legal purposes. A determination of his civil status, jurisdiction to impose personal judgment or taxes on him. Residence, the act or fact of living in a given place for some time. I have to pause for right now. I can jump back in when I can. Some persons enter the office.
The act of fact or living in a given place for some time. Residence susu just means bodily presence of an inhabitant in a given place. Domicile, I don't know what USU means. Requires bodily presence plus an intention to make the place its home. A person thus may have more than one residence at a time, but only one domicile. Sometimes, though, the two terms are used synonymously. Domicile is a conception of law employed for the purpose of establishing a connection for certain legal purposes between an individual and the legal system of the territory with which he has because of his dependence on some other person. The residence of a person operation for legal purposes, also termed legal residence. Section 18, and be it further enacted that the legislative power of the district shall extend to all rightful sub-legislation within said district. There exists no provision for in any code, statute, or any union state relating to motor vehicles or the licensing of the activity of the operation of motor vehicles that defines any union state to be a state of the United States. The only state under the term state is defined in the Driver's License Compact of the United States that is subscribing member of the Driver's License Compact is the District of Columbia. The Driver License Compact provides that the District of Columbia is the only state of the United States with the power and authority to issue a license or permit to operate a motor vehicle, or 2, suspend or revoke the use of any license or permit to operate a motor vehicle. The definition of the term state in the code statutes relating to motor vehicles and the licensing of the activity of the operation of motor vehicles is of the 5 union states declining membership in the Driver's License Compact is 1, substantially the same as that of each of the corresponding statutes of the 45 subscribing member union states, and 2, omits to include in said definition as a state of the United States any union state. Every union state government is a political subdivision, and every DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, situate within the exterior limits of a particular union state and instrumentally of the District of Columbia. Regarding residents of the District of Columbia, the controlling definition of the term motor vehicle in a federal and state statutes is found in the Code, Title 18 USC. The term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power used for commercial purposes on the highways in the transportation of passengers and property or cargo. We need to stop or discuss anything? Nope. Okay, carrying on.
Driver's license. The state issued certificate
License.
authorizing
We're the next page, license in real property. Oh, yeah. That's it.
I was reading correctly, right? Driver's license, the state issued certificate
Yes.
authorizing a person to operate a motor vehicle. Black's Law Dictionary, license. In real property law, a permission, a right given by someone competent authority to do an act which without such authority would be illegal, or a tort or trespass. In contracts, a permission to do some act which, if lawful, would otherwise be a trespass or thwart. The evidence of such permission which
We lost her. Can't hear her.
oh, where did I lose you? Sorry.
The evidence. Evidence of which?
I don't know. Where is that? In international law, you heard that part?
No.
All right. In international law, permission granted by a belligerent state to its own subjects or to the subjects of the enemy or to neutrals to carry on a trade decided by war, in pleading a plea of justification to an act of trespass that the defendant was authorized by the owner of the real property to commit the trespass complained of. In governmental regulation, authority to do some act or carry on some trade or business in its nature lawful, but prohibited by statute, except with the permission of the civil authority or which would otherwise be unlawful. A license to carry on business or trade in an official permit to carry on the same or perform other acts forbidden by law except to persons obtaining such permit. A license of this sort is a personal privilege. A license fee is a tax which a state may impose on all citizens within its borders. When the power is exercised by municipal corporation, a license is the requirement by the municipal of the payment of a certain sum by a person for the privilege of pursuing his profession or calling, whether harmful or innocent, for the general purpose of producing a reliable source of revenue. If the occupation is harmful, the sum paid for its prosecution may be said to be a license fee, but if innocent, it is a license tax. Whereas the occupation is not dangerous to the public, either directly or incidentally, it cannot be subject to any policy regulation which does not fail within the power of taxation. In the regulation of occupations harmful to the public, It is constitutional to require those who apply for a license to pay a reasonable sum to defray the expense of issuing the license and maintaining the proper supervision. Wherefore, as Union State statutes define the term state and Title 18 USC state, the states of United States are the 20 territories over which Congress have power of exclusive legislation. No union state is a state of the United States. The only state of the United States that is a party to the driver's license compact is the District of Columbia. The statutes of Georgia, Massachusetts, Michigan, Tennessee, and Wisconsin relating to the licensing of drivers are substantially the same as those of the 45 Union State members of the Driver's License Compact, and likewise provide no Union State with the power to issue, suspend, or revoke a license or permit to operate a motor vehicle. The sole authority with power to issue, suspend, or revoke a license or permit to operate a motor vehicle in America is the District of Columbia. The domicile and residence for legal purposes such as taxation and licensing of every Social Security franchise in the District of Columbia. Every Social Security franchise is a person and individual and the subject of all legislation in the District of Columbia. The only type of license issued by the District of Columbia or one of the 50 states, political subdivisions, whether by way of governmental regulation or municipal corporation legislation, is an occupational license in the form of a certificate. A person who wishes to use a motor vehicle for commercial purposes on the highway in transportation of passengers and property or cargo must pay a certain sum called a license fee to the Department Division of Motor Vehicles in the District of Columbia or one of the 50 political subdivisions thereof, for the privilege of pursuing his professional calling as a driver and obtain official permission in the nature of a contract and in the form of occupational license. A driving certificate called a driver's or operating license. The activity profession licensed by the DMV, the operation of the motor vehicle, that is the activity or profession of driving is a harmful activity, profession, and subject to police regulation. As regards to residents of the District of Columbia, such as a Social Security franchise, the controlling definition of the term motor vehicle is 18 USC and 31. Any description of carriage or other conveyance propelled or drawn by mechanical power whose identifying information is a motor vehicle record is a motor vehicle. Motor vehicles are used exclusively for commercial purposes on the highways in transportation of passengers and property or cargo. And any and all expenses relating to a person's profession, occupation in the operation of motor vehicles as a driver are business expense for income tax purposes. Do we stop? Do we
We can skip
continue?
over the footnotes. We can skip over the footnote. All persons must register.
Skip over that. From whence motor vehicle comes? That's where I start.
Oh, the next page. Yeah.
Next page. The next page I do see I see constructive trust.
Yeah, from
the right ends for enforceable sole inequity there.
All persons must register a new carriage contrivance with the DMV and obtain a driver's license. It.
What page is that?
Yeah.
Small person.
Page 29.
Oh. I don't see that. All persons must register a new carriage conveyance with the DMV and obtain a driver's license to use it. Union state statutes obtain only
Yes.
against persons, that is, Social Security franchise, to wit, in pertinent part. Application for the original or renewal registration of a vehicle of a type required to be registered under the code shall be made by the owner to the department upon the appropriate form furnished by it and shall contain all of the following. In the footnote, California Code Vehicle Code Division 3, registration of vehicles and certificates of the title Article 2, owner registration 4150. An owner is a person having all the incidents of ownership, including the legal title of a vehicle. Emphasis added, words and phrase defined 460. A driver's license is a valid license to drive the type of motor vehicle for which a person is licensed under this code. From whence motor vehicle come? Title 15 USC, Commence and Trade, Chapter 28, Disclosure of Automobile Information. 1231 definitions provide in pertinent part. The term person means an individual, partnership, corporation, business trust, or any organized group of persons. 15 USC Commerce and Trade, Chapter 28, Disclosure of Automobile Information. 1231 definitions, subsection B. The term automobile include any passenger car or station wagon. The term new automobile means an automobile the equitable or legal title to which has never been transferred by a manufacturer, distributor, or dealer to an ultimate purchaser. The term dealer shall mean any person resident or located in the United States or any territory thereof in the District of Columbia, engaged in the sale or distribution of new automobiles to the ultimate purchaser. The term ultimate purchaser means, with respect to any new automobile, the first person other than a dealer purchasing in its capacity as a dealer who, in good faith, purchases such new automobile for purpose other than resale. Every new carriage or other conveyance propelled or drawn by mechanical power is the property of the manufacturer and comes with a document of title called the Certificate of Origin for the vehicle, manufacturer certificate of origin, etc. Certificate of ownership in statutes bearing its particular identifying information. This certificate is the actual title for the new carriage. Said title also transfers to the distributor or dealer, the owner, what is called equitable title thereto, to be held in trust by said distributor or dealer owner until sale to the initial ultimate purchaser, original buyer. Whereas the motor vehicle paradigm is in the nature of a constructive trust and operates as a passive trust, wherein rights are enforceable solely in equity, all of which terms and others are defined infra, and ignorance of such things open the door for abuse. It would behove any potential victim of such confidence games to familiarize himself with the subject, the elements involved in the creation of any trust are trustor, trust property, trustee, and beneficiary, and sometimes trust protector. To wit, trust, the right enforceable solely in equity to the beneficial enjoyment of property to which other person holds the legal title. A property interest held by one person, the trustee, at the request of another, the settlor, for the benefit of a third party, the beneficiary. For a trust to be valid, it must involve specific property, reflect the settlor's intent, and be created for a lawful purpose. A trust involves three elements, namely one, a trustee who holds a trust property and is subject to equitable duties to deal with it for the benefit of another. Two, a beneficiary to whom the trustee owes equitable duties to deal with the trust property for his benefit. Three, trust property, which is held by the trustee for the beneficiary. Restatement second of trust. Someone has to take over. Someone stepped in.
Okay.
Constructive trust on page 30.
Okay. Trust wherever the circumstances of action are such that the person who takes a legal in property cannot also enjoy the beneficial interest, necessarily violating some established principle of equity. The court will immediately raise a constructive trust and fasten it upon the conscience of the legal owner, so as to convert him into a trustee for the parties who are entitled to the beneficial enjoyment. So basically, with a new car and you register with the motor vehicle, you are no longer an owner. You're no longer the truster. You become a trustee.
And that is why we pay.
Yep, we pay to become lesser than we are. A constructive trust is the formula through which the conscience of equity finds expression when property has been acquired in such circumstances that the holder of the legal title may not in good conscience retain the beneficial interest. Equity converts him into a trustee. So you take your equity, which is your brand new vehicle, and you register with motor vehicle, and you no longer become the owner or the trustor or the grantor, become that vehicle holds a title. The scheme works as follows. The trustor or settler, manufacturer, vests equitable title of the trust property, new carriage, contrivance, in a trustee, distributor, dealer, to be held in trust for another person, the beneficiary, ultimate purchaser. Upon sale of the new carriage, contrivance, to the initial ultimate purchaser, the trustee, without disclosing the details of the process to the initial purchaser, transfers the title provided by the manufacturer to the DM District of is now the leader of the carriage and holds legal title thereto for the benefit of another. The beneficiary, who is the beneficiary of the trust property, and receives a certificate of title from the legal owner. So, registering our cars at the DMV, we're basically giving the state ownership
the word register means in Latin it means to abandon. So if you register anything, that's why they could come and take it because basically you abandoned it.
Yep. You're giving your property away to the state, and they give you a paper in return and allow you to drive it or travel for a fee. I'm gonna move on to the next chapter. I believe this is basically saying the same thing. Actual encounters with law enforcement, page 32. There's something here written in Latin that I can't. I don't know if I can if I'm doing justice by reading it. The non apparentus et non est existentibus est ratio. The reason is the same respecting which do not appear and those which do not exist. Item est non probari et non esse non deficit just sed probatio. What does not appear and what is not is the same. It is not the defect of the law, but the want of. Whereas under equity, a motor vehicle can be used on the highways only by a person, Social Security franchisee, which with a valid license to drive the type of motor vehicle for which a person is licensed. Excuse me. Under common law, a carriage whose identifying information is inscribed on the actual title thereof, which is in the possession of the owner, not lodged in a motor vehicle record can be just like any other article of private property with impunity. In multiple incidents in which the motorist traveling on a public highway in a carriage contrivance had never been registered with the DMV was stopped by a traffic officer and asked for license registration and proof of insurance. Having none of the requested articles, the motorist produced other ID and original of the carriage contrivance from the manufacturer. The respective officers failed to receive from his co-workers confirmation that the motorist was subject to licensing or the carriage contrivance identifying information lodged in a motor record. Officers' response in each instance was to proclaim verbatim, "This not exist," and then politely excuse himself and depart. It is important to remember that at no in this particular life he obtained a license in his name. If a law enforcement officer can make no determination that 1, the carriage or contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power is a motor vehicle whose identifying information is lodged in a motor vehicle record, or 2, the motorist, a person, individual driver, and the subject of all legislation within the state, District of Columbia, there is no law to enforce and no basis for an alleged violation of a statute. Notwithstanding that the government, legal system, and media effectively have insinuated the sovereign constituency of the United States of America of July 4, 1776 out of existence, there nevertheless are constituents left, and more are recovering their standing every day via execution of that certain instrument beginning on browser page 40 of link 3 purging America of the matrix. The extinguishing a Social Security contract and franchise as authorized by law by reason of the giving of consent by making and recovering their original standing. In the only instance with a negative outcome, the circumstances were identical to the others in every respect, except that the motorist also happened to be a licensed driver and produced for the officer's inspection a driver's license. Whereupon the officer arrested the driver, natural person, and took him to jail and seized and impounded the carriage, never to be seen again by the said driver, natural person or individual. Therefore, thereafter, the said driver agreed to pay fines amounting to a little over $900 in order to avoid trial for his crimes. Translation: the law enforcement officer must discover evidence of a material fact, such as a vehicle identification number in a state vehicle record that matches the serial number affixed to the carriage, or a valid or suspended revoked driver's license belonging to the motorist behind the wheel that demonstrates the motorist is a sub-state or District of Columbia statutes regulating the occupation of the operation of motor vehicles, driving. Before any such officer will exercise personal jurisdiction and charge a motorist or issue a citation or arrest for any offense in the nature of the. Technically, the motorist is under arrest as soon as the officer hits his lights. But mistakes are forgivable in law, even for law enforcement officers, as long as the officer does not attempt any further exercise of personal jurisdiction following his failure to discover evidence of a crime. That is, material facts demonstrating that the carriage is a motor vehicle or the motorist a person and does not detain the motorist unduly. Thereafter, any such mistake is forgivable. Once a fraud, always a fraud. Once a motor vehicle, always a motor vehicle. Once an individual person based on mistake or fraud, never an individual person. And that's where it comes to notifications. So right now, most of our individual persons based on mistake or fraud. Once we put our notifications in, we'll never be an individual or person. The ability to pursue one's profession, procedure to extinguish the driver's license. The authority to pursue one's profession, occupation, in the activity of the operation of a motor vehicle is a privilege evidenced by a driving certificate called a driver's license. You have a travel, but you have a privilege to drive with a driver's license. A driver's license is in the nature a contract and agreement on the person to observe as a driver the state statutes relating to the operation of motor vehicles, and 2, on the part of this state, District of Columbia, allow the said privilege of pursuing his profession or calling in the operation of vehicles as a driver without undue interruption or molestation, so long as the person observes the statutes of this state relating to operations to wit. A contract is an agreement that do or not to do certain things. A person who wishes to drive any descriptive carriage or contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power must obtain a driver's license, a privilege to do so, and I stress privilege. Any American who submits under erroneous belief that he or she is a person and for the privilege of pursuing his profession in the operation of the vehicles as a driver and consents to terms and obtains the driving certificate authorizing such may extinguish the said contract by rescission and terminate his or her relationship with the District of Columbia through voluntary obtained.
What page are you now?
Page 34, almost in the middle, it is essential to the existence of a contract.
It is essential to the existence of a contract that there should be parties capable of contracting their consent. The consent of the parties to a contract must be free. An apparent consent is not real or free when obtained through mistake. Mistake of fact is a mistake not caused by the neglect of a legal duty on the part of the person making the mistake, and consisting in 1, an unconscious ignorance or forgetfulness of a fact past or present material to the contract, or 2, belief in the present existence of a thing material to the contract which does not exist, or in the past existence of such a thing which has not existed. A party to a contract may rescind the contract in the following cases. 1, if the consent of the party rescinding or of any party jointly contracting with him was given by mistake or obtained through duress, menace, fraud, or undue influence exercised by or with the conveyance of the party as to whom he rescinds, or of any other party to the contract jointly disinterested with such party. A party's unilateral unmaking of a contract for a legal sufficient reason. Rescission is generally available as a remedy or defense for the non-defaulting party and restores the parties to the pre-contractual positions. Black's Law Dictionary. Rescission is an act of rescinding, annulling, or vacating of canceling or aborting. Cancellation of license may be made only when specifically authorized in this code. when application is made for a license to operate vehicles of a higher class, or when a license has been issued through error or voluntary surrender to the department. I am at restoration of pre-contractual position and recovery of the unalienable right of liberty. Do we read that part?
Let's stop there for now. Let's stop there for now because we've gone past the hour, just a little bit past the hour. If we have anything to discuss about what we just read, we can go from there. Anyone has any questions about what we just read?
Based on that last part with recession, they basically saying they use recession to get people back underneath their contracts.
What's the title of this book, please? Because I came in late.
Hi, how to use a car without the need for a driver's license.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
name of the book.
Okay, thank you.
So we're at page 34 now.
We're on page 34, and we're gonna stop on this page. Continue next week on the same page.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, I have a permission issue. I can't, for some reason, it won't let me access the PDF. I don't know if maybe I could get another copy of it.
Okay, I'll put it back in the group chat. See if that opens up for you.
Because what I find
or
is,
are you trying to?
it's really interesting, but it's something that you have to listen through because sometimes it kind of, the wording kind of repeats itself. If you're not careful what you're reading,
Yeah.
this is where you get trapped.
Yeah.
You know, you could be in a showroom and you can't be bothered to read through the whole of the contract. I've been there. I need a sign on the dotted line, and next thing you know, you're obligated. Right. So having a full comprehension, that's what I need to have. So I really need to see the PDF so I can get studying it.
Okay. I'll try to put it back in the chat again.
Because it does apply. That would apply in this on this side of the water as well. Obviously, it would apply here too.
Yes. Because we actually have, I think Lorna is driving around with whatever document is. You should get with her and let her tell you what she's doing, because she's driving privately. She doesn't have a driver's license.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you send that PDF, let me have another go at trying to open it, see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
So now we should get ready and resend this and just get an international license then.
Yes. And that there's this I think I saw Rascalites list opening up that what is it again? That paper that Rascalites gave you, I think it was 3 days ago. You need to have that filled out and you carry in your vehicles, have it notarized, of course. I think he put
Which
it back.
paper was
It
that?
has all my information on it. I'm sorry?
Which paper is that?
Is it the same
When
paper
did
where
he
you
put it?
made up the numbers with the EI in that class? That you were showing us?
The one with No, with all my information on it.
Yeah, your information was on it, and it was showing the class.
Yeah. Yes, that one.
Is there a copy of it in the classroom? I just got to go back and
It
watch the
should
tape.
be.
Go back and watch it.
It
Otherwise,
should
from
be.
that, I think I screenshot it. If I find it, I'll post it in the classroom. Otherwise, we'd have to rewatch that segment.
All right. When I get off, I look for it.
It's called, yes, it's in there. It's called U.S. National ID Affidavit.
Okay, so
So that
I'll
one,
fill it out.
yeah, you need to have once you start driving around with private tags, I'll suggest you get this notarized and keep it in your vehicle. That'll be kind of like a registration, but not a registration, but because it's your property and you're keeping it.
Will do. Because I understand exactly what's going on because the notary is under the Secretary of State, which runs a lot of that stuff. So yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So when Officer Dibbles try to pull you over and say your car is not in the system, it's in your system, and you're a private person.
Right, and I show him the paper from my system. If I
Right.
have to go that, and if I have to go that far, he better sign that contract in the back there.
And the EITA international driver's license also in the chat.
Okay, so I'll print out all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's best we get a binder, the binder with the sleeves, and we just print them out and put them in those little plastic slips. It's protected. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's an idea.
And the fee schedules is also there. Make sure you get your fee schedule and have it and notarize it too.
Okay, Nana.
So this affidavit of identification, obviously I would have to put of either British UK national identification. I see the example here. It's
You can use that
yeah,
with your
Channel
vehicle
Golden.
as well in the UK. Yeah, that's it. So you delete all my information and replace it with your information. Have it printed out and notarized.
The same obviously the same USC 110122B, all of that there. I'm just scanning for it right here now as we talk. Zip code, I can put postcode instead of zip code in it.
Yeah, whatever your address, however your address works. Yes.
But use a
Switch it around to
5
suit
zeros.
you.
But I can still use 5 zeros, yes?
Yes, but you can switch it around to suit you, however your address goes. I'm not sure, what order your address is in, but you can switch it around to suit your address.
What is the PH number on the contact information?
I believe that's a
PH.
phone number.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, I can do that. I've got it loaded up in Word here now. Just I can edit it. Take me a few minutes to edit that. And print that and get it
Yes.
notarized, yes?
Correct.
Okay.
I think a good idea too is to once you have your fee schedule printed up and your affidavit is to send a copy to the sheriff of your area.
If you send it to the governor, that would
Well, I think both is
the
good
governor
because
and
he can't say he
yeah,
didn't get it. He can't say he didn't get it. So,
true.
yeah, you could send one to the governor and then also one to the sheriff. You know, just so that everybody's on notice and nobody can't claim that they didn't get something. You know,
Correct.
and
And
you
make
can
sure you
have
have your fee schedule notarized, so it doesn't seem like you're just putting out a piece of paper.
right.
And I suggest, like all these long documents, I suggest using legal paper, not 8.5 by 11.
Yeah, the legal size.
Okay, I guess Rascata has disappeared on us.
You said it was in the
Anybody
classroom
have any?
yesterday or a couple days ago.
Say that again.
Was the information you said was in the classroom yesterday or a couple days ago?
It's been in there
I
for
think
a
it,
few days.
All right. Because I looked on yesterday. Let me look back a couple days.
I think it's last Saturday.
Which one would
Okay.
it be? My fee schedule pages are fee schedule example.
Those are examples of fee schedules. You can make them yours.
I have another one here, demand
It's
for payments.
whichever one you like. Once the demand for payment use once you have a violation.
All right, I'll have a look. I'll open them and have a look at them and edit them accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I go to get my I already know what solicitor I can use. By the time I go to get them notarized, I'll have a few things to do at once
Okay. And
instead of going back and
guys,
forward, back and forward.
it's very important if you're going to be using private tags to make sure that you've put everyone on notification that you need to put on notification. You can't be driving around with private tags and a driver's license at the same time. Because you're basically you're playing both sides.
I figured that
If you
much.
have a
That's why we
driver's
need to
license,
resend. I was figuring that much. That's why we
that's
need to
right.
resend
You
the
need to
driver's license. We
rescind.
need to go and drive private.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you're sending out your notifications, don't forget to send it to the comptroller of your state as well.
What if you rescind your driving license? How can you do commerce? Like
You can't.
I drive I use a van to drive to collect building material at work. It's essentially I go to the
Well,
builders yard to get blocks and so on.
you have to keep your driver's license for that purpose.
But in my private life,
You have to keep
if I drive, like I want to get one of them Volkswagen ID10s. I fancy one of them. I can see myself with one. I don't have to use a license to do whatever I want to do with that.
No, you don't need a license to go from point A to point B, as long as you're not making money off of it. You're not doing food delivery and passenger drop-offs.
Yeah. All right.
So, does anyone need any help with their affidavits and notifications?
I definitely do, but I was having somebody coming over tomorrow to do all of that.
Okay. Well, if you need any help, just let me know.
Will do, Nana. Thanks again.
All right. Rascal, I supposed to be multitasking. All righty. Well, if no one has anything else, then I'm going to say we shall avie.
We shall have
We shall avie.
We shall have
We shall.
We
We shall.
All righty.